Hello everyone, and welcome to my Iconic Goodbyes channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Alan is identified as Sharon and Phyllis's captor. Alan and Traci were delighted to spend a supper with Jack and Diane at the Genoa City Athletic Club. Alan had just returned from a conference in Washington, D.C., and Traci had arrived from New York. They hadn't seen each other in a while and were thrilled to be reunited. Alan and Traci had planned to visit each other, but their flights were repeatedly delayed, so it never happened. They also missed each other when Alan flew into New York and Traci attended an event down south. Jack was grinning when he saw how delighted his sister was. "Traci, I love you and you deserve all the happiness in the world," he told her. Traci was so fascinated with Alan that he volunteered to cease accepting speaking engagements so they could spend more time together. Traci rejected the notion since she didn't want him to give up anything for her. Jack reminded Traci of his offer, and perhaps she should accept it. Traci and Alan continued to fawn over one another as Jack and Diane looked on adoringly. They could not be happier for Traci. Alan described how Traci altered his life and helped him overcome his loneliness. Traci felt the same way, prompting Alan to make a stunning declaration. "If I thought I'd have a shot, I'd ask you to marry me right now," Alan said. Traci was taken aback when Jack and Diane took this as their indication to leave so Alan and Traci could discuss the subject alone. Alan stated that he hadn't meant to propose. "It just came out. It was not planned and maybe ill-conceived," he informed me. Alan explained to Traci that his entire life had altered since they met, and she was everything he was lacking. "Traci Abbott, will you marry me?" Alan eventually asked, and an elated Traci said, yes. Alan asked Traci if he believed her daughter Colleen would have approved of him. Before telling Alan how important he was to her. "Finding you has been this really unexpected gift. A bonus chapter to what's already a lovely life." Alan decided they needed to make things official, so he went to acquire a ring to put on Traci's finger. Jack and Diane returned when Alan left. Jack inquired as to whether Traci had any news. All she could do was give her brother a huge smile. In their dark and dismal prison, Phyllis and Sharon had their positions reversed. Sharon was now passed out on the couch, with Phyllis attempting to wake her. Phyllis, being Phyllis, began yelling for the voice to hear her as she bemoaned that the antidote was completely gone. "Tell me what to do!" Phyllis exclaimed. Like magic, she discovered a hint on a Valentine's Day note near Sharon's pillow. It said, "Mark my time in blood, sweat, and tears." Panicked, Phyllis began doing CPR on Sharon. "I swear to you, do not leave me alone. Please," she screamed. Phyllis was taken aback when she awoke, because Sharon appeared to be in good health. Phyllis kept saying Sharon was dying and she was running out of time to save her, but she succeeded. She was concerned that Sharon's brain was not receiving enough oxygen. Then she wondered if it was a trick. Phyllis then asked the voice if she had passed her most recent test. Sharon felt thrilled that Phyllis was eager to save her life. Sharon had always known she would. "It almost sounds like you care," Sharon commented. "I saved your life, and you saved mine," she explained. After some more fighting, the ladies realized that the purpose of the game is for them both to discover a way out by working together. Getting past the hate and seeing the bigger picture, Sharon joked. Phyllis argued that she could still despise Sharon while not wanting them to die. Sharon revealed that Phyllis had previously wished Sharon dead. "This situation has changed you, has changed us," she ended by saying. Sharon agreed when Phyllis determined they needed to work together despite all distractions. The two women grabbed each other's hands and made escape their objective. They even noted that the voice was disappeared. Meanwhile, Alan sits alone in Chancellor Park with a weird expression on his face. When Alan received a phone notification, he watched a video of Sharon and Phyllis in their small prison, revealing that he was the one holding them prisoner and playing this sadistic game. While Sharon and Phyllis sought a way out of their dreadful circumstances, their family members set out to find them. Nick and Chance were sitting at Crimson Lights, watching security footage with the white van, when Summer stormed in to speak with her father and ex-boyfriend. Nick informed Summer that they had a lead on Sharon and Phyllis, assuring her that her mother would be fine. "Are you sure we're going to find them? You don't think there's a possibility we might be too late?" questioned Summer. Nick swore on his life that the concept had never entered his head. Chance also tried to be comforting because there was no indication that the women had been kidnapped. "I'm just going by the facts and trying not to make assumptions," Chance explained, prompting Summer to scoff. Chance then acknowledged that he got a negative vibe about the entire thing. When they looked at the map of the region where the van was seen, they noticed that the majority of the buildings had been abandoned, and they wondered if the women were in one of them. Nick instructed Newman security to begin a search of the buildings, leaving Summer perplexed as to why anyone would do so. It's not like someone was demanding ransom. She believed that if the kidnapper needed money, they would have heard about it by now. Nick continued to encourage his daughter before leaving to speak with his security staff. After he left, Chance tried to cheer up Summer. "I have concerns, but I'm very confident we're going to find them and we're going to bring them home," Chance told the crowd. Summer stated that Chance's positive attitude was the only reason she wasn't a complete wreck. Summer was recommended to eat something, but she had no appetite. She was far too concerned to push anything down. Chance clasped Summer's hand and pledged to be there for her. Nick returned to the property and caught up with Billy. The youngest Abbott sibling was worried about Phyllis and wanted to show Nick the text message he received after calling Phyllis's burner phone. It was an automatic text asking whether Nick wanted information about the Havenhurst Psychiatric Clinic, but Nick wasn't sure if the facility existed or if Billy's text was spam. When they looked it up, they discovered it was real but had been closed down and abandoned years before. It was also on the map Chance was looking at. "That can't possibly be a coincidence," Nick said. The men dashed back to Crimson Lights and showed the text to a concerned Chance and Summer. They wanted to get there soon away, but they were also concerned about falling into a trap. Next on The Young and the Restless. Phyllis and Sharon find themselves in greater peril. Victor has several pointed questions for Adam. Jack has a confession to make. The rush to save Sharon and Phyllis. Nick and Billy believe they know where Sharon and Phyllis are, all hands on deck. They've informed Chance about their new lead and are waiting for word before heading to the clinic themselves. Chance will give Billy and Nick an update, but will it be a positive one? Billy and Nick, as well as the police, were on their way to the clinic. Chance and the cops arrived first and discovered something disturbing, or did they find nothing at all? Nick and Billy had a sense this was all too simple, so they refused to believe Chance came up empty. Are they prepared to go rogue and search the area without the police? Nick and Billy are certain that Sharon and Phyllis are in that old abandoned mental health clinic and are determined to find them. However, they may discover that Alan laid a trap for them that is just as lethal as the ones Phyllis and Sharon fell into. Meanwhile, Sharon and Phyllis strive to survive in their underground captivity, desperate to identify their kidnapper when he arrives at night. They have no idea he is currently distracted by his new fiancée and is ignoring notifications on his smartphone. The women understand that they must work together to get out of this problem, but the task is becoming increasingly difficult. However, at the end of the day, they do have each other's backs, which appears to be the point of it all. Sharon pointed out that they've gone a long way. Perhaps their kidnapper will notice this and release them. Are Sharon and Phyllis going to fall into another hazardous trap? Despite Sharon and Phyllis's progress, the game appears to be far from over. What else does Alan have in store for them, and why is he doing this? Unfortunately, poor Traci is in for a harsh surprise. Brace yourselves for the Young and Restless kidnapper reveal, it will be truly mental. When it comes to the Young and the Restless Sharon/Phyllis kidnapping mystery, the pieces are slowly coming together. In fact, we could have finally figured out who done it. All along, Farron's abductor has portrayed their life-or-death battle as a game, with the ultimate purpose of putting their decades-long grudge behind them. Think of this as an experiment and nothing more, he stated in the March 11th show. Who wants to play a mind game, let alone one as nasty as the voices? Who would devise such a heinous plot? Ian Ward, for sure, but he wouldn't care if their long-standing foes buried the hatchet. So, who does this leave? If we disregard the premise that the kidnapper has a vested interest in his victims, suspicion suddenly falls on Martin. We already know that Alan's wicked twin is reportedly deceased. However, half of Genoa City's population was incorrectly thought to have died at some point. As a result, it is not a significant barrier. We believe Martin is using Sharon and Phyllis as guinea pigs to prove that he is truly the excellent therapist that he claims to be, and that he and Alan will be able to say bygones someday. Crazy? You bet. But that's Martin for you. His resurrection would also give Alan and Traci something to do other than be nice together. Beth Maitland and Christopher Cousins deserve so much better. If Sharon dies along the road or Phyllis becomes a victim of Martin's huge experiment, so be it in his mind. That would provide him with valuable knowledge before he tries a similar strategy to clear the slate with Alan. Perhaps Martin will do the same stunt on Victor and Jack or Nikki and Diane next time. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Ashley is missing. Is she Phyllis and Sharon's deranged kidnapper? According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, Ashley Abbott has recently gone missing from Genoa City. Meanwhile, the rest of the Abbott family appears to be experiencing one catastrophe after another. Ashley's absence and the fact that no one has acknowledged her seem unusual. Despite the double kidnapper's distorted masculine voice, might it be a woman? Ashley was last seen during Newman Abbott's wedding, after returning from mental health therapy in Paris. It was critical for Ashley to return in time for her daughter's wedding. The treatment for dissociative identity disorder was neither simple or straightforward. Ashley returned just in time to help celebrate Abby and Devon Hamilton Winter's wedding. Ashley seemed to have vanished again. Jordan and Ian Ward were kidnapped following their wedding. Jordan was slain, and Victor Newman assumed he had murdered Ian. However, fans know that Ian opened his eyes in the ambulance after being proclaimed dead. Although many fans believe Ian kidnapped Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers, is there another possibility? At this time, I believe Ian would be too obvious. There is also the abductor, who only speaks with Phyllis and Sharon via a speaker at an abandoned mental health facility. The voice seems distorted, but it's male. At the very least, it sounds male. If the kidnapper can distort his voice, can't they use the same technology to make it sound completely different, possibly as a different gender? Ashley Abbott's curious disappearance. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that there could be a reason why Ashley has not been addressed. Ashley most likely informed her family that she was taking care of business or would return to Paris. Nobody has said anything, which suggests that there is a cause. Could Ashley have experienced another relapse? Could Ashley's changes be resurfacing, resulting in something terrible? Ashley has no incentive to harass Phyllis or Sharon, but perhaps one of the alters does. It is also worth noting that the unknown captor indicated that Phyllis and Sharon were part of an experiment. It sounded like Phyllis and Sharon were just test subjects. If that's the case, who exactly is the kidnapper preparing for? Is Ashley behind this, and if so, what will happen? YNR spoilers, is Martin having Phyllis and Sharon act out his and Alan's issues? According to the Young and the Restless teasers, Martin Lawson may be having Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman play out his and Alan Lawrence's troubles while being kidnapped. Martin was constantly envious of Alan and wished to kill him. Has he taken over now? Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman have been enemies for years. Phyllis and Sharon have been enemies for years because of Nick Newman and, of course, Daniel Romalotti Jr., when Sharon's daughter died after driving a car and wrecking it with Daniel inside. Sharon blamed Daniel until Cassie Newman recalled the truth. Sharon and Phyllis are really good at working together. Both of them saved each other's lives while in captivity. Martin, on the other hand, is keeping an eye on them and is not pleased with how well they're doing. Will Sharon and Phyllis escape because Martin is out with Traci Abbott? Will Martin forget to get the ring because he needs to retrieve his captives? Chancellor, Billy Abbott, and Nick are working together to save Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman. Billy received a text message from the burner phone, giving the prisoner's location. Martin has already placed both of their lives at risk. Will Martin be apprehended before it is too late for Sharon and Phyllis? Nick will be amazed by the accomplishments Sharon and Phyllis have made while they were away. Why is Martin pushing them so hard to get along? Does Sharon and Phyllis's feud remind Martin of his and Alan's past arguments? Does Martin nearly enjoy experimenting with their lives? Is seeing Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers helping Martin lure on? Martin seemed to enjoy watching Sharon and Phyllis, but why has he kidnapped these two? Have the Abbotts talked so much about Sharon and Phyllis that Martin feels forced to try to convince them to see the light? Does Martin believe Sharon and Phyllis are stressing everyone out and should stop? Whatever the case may be, it appears like Phyllis and Sharon are putting their past behind them. How long will that endure once these are out in the real world? Has Martin done everyone a favor by convincing these two to settle down and stop arguing over everything? Could Phyllis and Sharon eventually become friends? The Young and the Restless spoilers, has Martin reclaimed control of Alan's life, or has he always been there? According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, Martin Lawson has once again taken over his brother Alan Lawrence's life. Martin was meant to be killed after he and Alan battled in Paris and fell out a window. Fans questioned who had survived at the moment. Did Alan die that day instead of Martin, or did he stage Martin's death? Is Alan Lawrence the brother that died months ago? Martin took over Alan's life, and Alan was discovered locked up in a closet the last time he saw Ashley Abbott in Paris. Alan and Martin battled, and both fell out the window. Alan stated that Martin had died. However, not much was shown regarding the results. Did Alan fabricate Martin's death? Has Martin been pretending to be Alan all along? Is Traci Abbott in trouble after all of her time spent with Martin? Martin is really different from Alan. Traci could find herself in serious peril. Look what Martin did to her sister while mimicking Alan. Martin is a mental patient, and he has no need to be near Traci. Fans have been questioning this swap for months since June 2024. Fans have been wondering which Lawson brother died in the fall that night. When all was said and done, he acted just like Alan. However, Martin is responsible for the kidnapping of Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman, and everyone wants to find him. What would you think if you knew the truth? Martin's attack on Ashley, which triggered her demonstrated his violent nature. Alan was there to help her get into treatment. However, Alan would not be holding people hostage, as Martin does. Will Nick Newman defend Sharon and Phyllis from this insane man? Traci Abbott will be saddened. Traci is in love with Alan and will be saddened to learn that she is dealing with Martin instead. Traci could end up in serious danger if she discovers this and says anything. Martin would not hesitate to silence Traci if necessary. Martin does not care about anyone other than himself. Traci may realize something is amiss and inform someone else about Alan's unusual behavior in order to get some help. It would be a pity if Martin harmed or killed Traci. Has Martin been planning this for months, or will Traci have to save Alan before Martin can get rid of him? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.